Hi everyone, it's Maha. Thank you so much for joining me on my channel once again. So today what I wanted to do is to do just a quick video and show you some of the decks I've recently gotten and a deck that I got a while ago, just to give you a little bit of a deck update, because I know it's been some time since I've done any deck videos, any tarot or oracle deck videos, and I'll tell you why that is. Before I get started though, I just wanted to say thank you to all of you for being so supportive and so loving and kind in your comments of my previous video that I posted as a video response to Kellyanne for Self-Love September. Thank you so much for being so accepting of me sharing my personal story, which I wasn't going to do, but I'm really happy that I did. It was a kind of a very therapeutic experience, actually. And then I also just wanted to send a quick hello and welcome to my new subscribers. Thank you for joining us. Okay, so back in March of 2016, this past March, I decided that I wasn't going to buy any oracle or tarot decks for 6 months. I decided to give myself a complete break for 6 months. The reason for that is because I realized that my deck purchasing was becoming a little bit too out of hand. It was just becoming a little too overwhelming for me. I felt like there was this need to have all these decks, and I started to question that, because whenever I hear myself saying I need that, as opposed to like I would like that or I want that, then I start to think, okay, there's a problem here, because I can't control myself. It was becoming a little much like too overpowering me. And so I decided, how about if I just take a break and see what happens? I'm telling you, it wasn't easy. For the first 3 months, I was having deck withdrawal. I was just feeling like, kind of like something big was missing. Like I was starting to feel a bit agitated, irritable. And then I really realized that it's a kind of an addiction. And it was funny, because during that time that I was going through that, I started seeing all these videos pop up in my newsfeed about people calling it tarot addiction or deck addiction. I thought I like to call it deck fetish, because I've been just obsessed with just collecting these decks. And it was funny, because in one of my astrology classes, my teacher was talking about we had a lesson on out-of-bound planets. I'm not going to get too much into detail about that, but basically when a planet is out of bound, it acts a little, it's too far, and it acts a little crazy. So my teacher was talking about my chart, and I have Venus out of bounds. So she started asking me these questions, but she kept asking me over and over, are you a collector? Are you a collector of anything? And I said, no, I'm not a collector. I don't collect anything. This was like 6 months ago. And then she said, are you sure you don't collect anything at all? And I said, no, I don't collect anything. So then I was talking to a friend of mine after that class, and I was telling her, astrology is not always correct, because my teacher was telling me that I'm a collector. She had this idea that because of this planet being out of bounds, I'm a collector. And my friend, it was really funny, because that's why I'm telling you this, because it was so funny. My friend was sitting, and just behind her, I have this whole huge shelf of all my decks and my crystals, like behind another shelf. So she just turned around to her side, and she was like, you're not a collector? You're not a collector? And she was just like pointing to all these decks that I have, and I thought, oh, I guess I am. So now I've realized that I am officially a deck collector, because I have just way too many of them, and it just never occurred to me that I'm a deck collector until now. So anyway, I decided to take a break from that, And I'm, by the way, realizing that this is probably going to be a rambling video, but it won't be too long because I don't have too much time anyway. I just wanted to also share some thoughts on the, did I already say that? On the Ceccoli Oracle? Anyway, so I decided not to buy any decks. And I did really well. I didn't buy any decks for 7 months, you guys. I went over the 6 months. I'm very proud of myself. And now, what's happened now is I no longer feel this need to have decks. I feel like a lot more relaxed about it, that I can just go, do I want this deck? And I can actually think more about it. It's almost like a very freeing experience now, because I'm not bound to this wanting to buy and have all these decks. So I'm really free of that, and that's great, because I went through this few months of kind of like struggling with not buying. It's really weird. Some of you probably know what I'm talking about. So at that time, the very last deck I bought was this. It's called The Wisdom of Elves and Fairies. It's a little oracle deck by Gayan Sylvie Winter. Wisdom of Elves and Fairies, Messengers of the Miraculous by A.G. Miller. It's really small, kind of a Lenormand deck size. I don't collect Lenormand, thank goodness, because that would really kill my credit card. I collect Tarot and Oracle, and so I got that one, and I just wanted to quickly show it to you. It's very, very cute. The reason I bought this deck is because I just fell in love with the childlike images. It's almost like the images are actually drawn by children. They're very, very childlike, and they have little messages on the bottom. So this one says, "The wisdom of your nature holds all the answers." I have Instagram, and I've been posting some pictures of these inside flowers because they're so small and they fit. I love the back too. Doesn't that? It looks like watercolor and pen and pencil ink. Very sweet. And the messages are really sweet. It's really great for doing daily draws, and I'm telling you, I've been using this deck almost every day since then. In the infinite, you will rediscover inner peace. Very sweet. Just gonna show you a few of these, just so you get the idea. And I got this on Amazon. Really cute images. Really, just like little drawings, childlike drawings. To be is a gift of heaven. They're very positive, very like uplifting, so I like using this in the morning, usually. Speaking of childlike, the next deck I want to show you, which is one that I ordered back in March when I stopped buying decks, and it didn't arrive to me until 7 months later, really like 6 months later. It took a long time, and one day I was just thinking, whatever happened to my Ceccoli Oracle? I ordered that. It was a pre-order, but sometimes it takes a long time, I guess, for it to come out. And one day, I remember I was thinking, whatever happened to that deck? And then the next day it arrived. I was going to call Amazon and ask them what happened, actually. So I've had this for about a month, and I've used it quite a bit. And I just saw a really great review by Tarot by Ania. If I remember, I'll post it down below. And it was a very evocative discussion that she was having. She was bringing up all these really great topics, really, really great. And I kind of wanted to just share my thoughts on that just a little bit too. So this is a deck that I love using for shadow work and for inner child work. Wow, how do I start? How do I begin? This is not going to be a review. This is just going to be a thoughts on this deck. So if you are familiar with the Ceccoli Tarot, this is by Nicoletta Ceccoli. There are 32 cards and a little booklet written by Linnea Weatherstone. And Linnea Weatherstone also, she's written a bunch of different books, different guidebooks, but one of them is the Victorian Fairy Tarot book, which I just wanted to put. This is a companion book for it. Victorian Tarot, I've done a review of it last March. Speaking of March. And It's a great deck. I really love it. I actually really like the way Linnea Weatherstone writes. I like her style of writing. And I really like this guidebook. Now, to me, anyway, the images are very different from what she has to say in the guidebook about the images. What comes to me in my mind is very different from what the guidebook says, which is good, because I think it's good, because it just gives you a different perspective. And, I mean, in my opinion, what comes to me is the most important message, because that's the message for me. So sometimes I will read the guidebook and it won't really hit me, it won't resonate with me, so I'll just, forget about it and just kind of go with my own intuition. For example, this is one of the cards that what comes to me from looking at this image is very different from what she's written in the book. What I like about the book is that she has about a paragraph of each card, and then she has two lines about the light aspect and the dark aspect. And I'll come to that in a moment, if I remember. So, yeah, the Ceccoli Oracle. For some people, in my experience, some people love this deck, and then some people really don't like it. So it's kind of, in my experience, it's been kind of like either this or that, kind of not really in the middle. I love it. The Ceccoli Oracle deck is one of my favorite decks. I featured it in one of my videos last year when I did my top favorite decks. I don't know, there's something about the images that I find very, they pull you in, they draw you in, they make you look and question and think. They are really provoking. Not all art needs to be. Definitely not. I mean, artists sometimes make art for different reasons. Some artists want to add beauty to the world. Some artists want to make images that are relaxing and soothing. In this case, these images, to me, are very psychological. And by that, I mean they really dig deep and bring out, resurface things. I love the back of the cards. And I have to tell you, I showed these cards to my niece, my 5-year-old niece. It was a very interesting experience. Of course, I asked her mother's permission. And I wanted to just do a little experiment to see what a child actually sees. And some of these images that people find very controversial, quote unquote, she was just loving them. Her imagination was just like going off. It was amazing. So, so these, like I was saying, these images are very psychological. And this is again another image, for example, that I totally see a different thing from what the guidebook says. All the images are kind of more than what the eye sees, more than just the appearance. Even if you have a really happy image with like rainbows and bubblegum colorful going around, these dolls, these girls are supposed to be dolls, these are all supposed to be toys. Like, look at this one. Her face, she looks sad. Even though she's in this happy, bubbly landscape, she's swinging and to me she looks like she's either sad or thinking. Really, I guess the thing is that they don't have a specific expression, but a lot of times they are really, thinking. I mean, these features, these faces, are very powerful. This, to me, is a very healing deck. I've been using it almost every day since I got it. And I find that when I read the guidebook, sometimes some things come to me after, and I think about it, like, oh, okay, that makes sense. That's then I connect differently with the card even. Technically, as far as, as an artist, when I look at an image, I really admire the skill of the hand, and technically these images are really well done. Like, she's just a really great artist, so no matter what, I appreciate the artwork for what it is, because I know it's not easy painting these sort of paintings. These are surreal images, and you gotta really understand the sense of perspective, line, color, the technique, the way she uses her medium, which in my opinion is oil painting, I think. And I know there were some discussions about that art is supposed to provoke and shock people. Well, you know, in the period of art history, from my studies of art history, sometimes there's art that shocks. There was a period in art history that was called shock art. The artists actually made artwork to shock people, to get some kind of statement. And I'm not really sure if that was her intention on purpose, but definitely things have been coming up for people. A lot of times people are not happy with the fact that the images are maybe a bit sexualized. I mean, I'm looking now through for those images. Here's one of them. To me, I would never use the word sexualized. I would say suggestive, maybe. Obviously, there's that Pinocchio and there's that phallic symbol pointing underneath her skirt. So, you know, everybody always kind of thinks, that's not appropriate. You know what? I showed this very image to my niece. Gotta keep my eye on the time. And she was not... she didn't see that at all. I even asked her, what is he doing? What do you think she's doing? What's happening here? He was like, well, he put a curse on her and she slipped and fell. That's what she saw. And then she was going off about all these tangles and how they're trying to get out of the tangles and how they got there. Like, her imagination was just really working. So a little child, she's 5 years old, sees nothing like the way we do. So I think it's I think Ania was right, that whatever we project on the card is coming from our own psyche. And it's very interesting because in astrology, if you look at the charts of artists and actors, a lot of time, almost all the time, the artwork they create, and in the case of actors, the roles that they play in their movies, is very much the stuff of their birth chart, the stuff of the psyche that's showing up in their birth chart. That's very interesting to me. And maybe, like Ania suggested, maybe this was her way of working through some things. Maybe not. In my personal experience, and being an artist myself, I would say that's probably true. Because everything we do, whether it's unconscious or conscious, it's a part of us. And we see the world through the lens of our own colored lenses, our own subjective view of the world. So it would make sense, and maybe that's what she's doing. My niece did not see this image as violent at all. She said he was going to do that to her, so now she's getting back at him. And then she didn't see this as a heart. She saw it as some kind of spider that they were scared of, these girls. So interesting how her mind was just seeing such different things. Oh, and she saw this one as the little rabbit is squirting her. She didn't even notice the nipple squirting the milk, because that's what's happening. There's milk coming out of her nipple. She didn't even see that. And I showed this for a long time to her. She said, he's squirting her, squirting water at her. Anyway, I think this deck is great, and I think it's great that people are talking about it. I think when we are sitting in a therapeutic space, it's important for me as a healing practitioner. I would want my client to react. I would want to get stuff out. I would then want to work with that stuff. So I would definitely use this for clients, just to see the reaction, just to see how, what stuff can come up. Because I think when you make a sort of art that can get people talking and get stuff out, deep stuff out, then you've really touched something as an artist, and you're really going somewhere. So more than anything, I feel like this deck is a very thought-provoking deck, and it is a deck that challenges our perceptions. These images challenge our perceptions. And the fact that there are no keywords on the cards, as you probably noticed, kind of enable us to connect with the images on an intuitive level. So it makes the deck, to me, very intuitive deck to work with. I usually like to read from the guidebook. If you've watched all my videos, I usually like to, if you watched any of my reviews, I usually like to read the book, but in this case I don't want to spoil it for you because, like I said, I really feel like this deck is one of those decks where each individual person is going to react differently to the cards, so I kind of don't want to give away the keywords. I think that's nice that there are no keywords on there. So look at her expression, like I was saying. They're not, usually the faces are not smiling in these images, but they're very powerful. So here, I don't know, it's almost like I can feel what she's feeling. She's putting her hands on her heart. It's like, oh, that hurt. That hurt. She just has that face that's like, I don't know, you can really, really feel something. They evoke emotion. In this case, she has her cupcakes, and it stained her dress. The lighting isn't really that great here. I tried to change it, but still didn't change much. And look at here again, that expression on her face. It's just so beautiful. It's really it really captures that childlike innocence, that, you know, that sort of, it's just so powerful. I love all these features. This image, I'm coming back to this image again because I pulled this card on a day that I really needed to hear the message that the guidebook provided for me. So just to say that it's really important to connect with each card intuitively, but also the guidebook is really great because it kind of, you know, just gives you another way to see the cards. And I'm not going to tell you the keyword for that card, but I just wanted to point out that card because what I really loved was the message on the shadow and dark aspect. And what number is it? 9. And it's interesting because only in this card the message of the shadow and the light and dark are actually exactly the same. So the message here was, everything is unfolding exactly as it's meant to be. So feel free to rest and play. I really needed to hear that message, and that's really interesting. It's both the light and the dark. So I like that. And here you can see she's just kicking off her shoe. It's like, get on that swing and just let things happen. Everything is happening exactly as it should. I like that. And then I pulled this card the other day. And what this made me think of, I'm going to let you just look at it for a minute. It made me think of something that I read once in one of my mindfulness books, where there was a metaphor of a chess game given to how the mind works and how the idea of mindfulness. They said that our mind is like a chess game, and all the thoughts are all the individual pieces on the chessboard. You have the negative thoughts, so the black pieces, and then you have the so-called positive thoughts. And you are not your thoughts. You are not the chess pieces. You are the chessboard. And so you are observing all the thoughts. And I thought that this is the first thing that came to me, which is totally different from what the book says. This is what came to me when I saw this card. And I love how her dress just goes in and blends into the chessboard. And it just kind of goes to infinity. And it kind of made me, she's the princess, so it made me think that she's the one in control. She's the one who's taking hold of what's going on inside her. So I think those are all the thoughts that I wanted to share on this wonderful, very interesting deck. And I wanted to also talk about the dreams of Gaia, but I noticed that the video is getting a bit longer. I have just received this, same time, a little bit after that one, but I haven't even looked at the cards yet, you guys. I've just been kind of like wowing over how beautiful just the box is. The color, it's like this forest green and the midnight indigo blue. Gorgeous. But I have to tell you though my dream about this deck, because it was really interesting. I did a review of the Mythic Oracle, which is also done by the same artist. This is Ravynne Phelan. She went by a different name. I can't remember. It was Michelle Lee Phelan, I believe. And about a year and a half or so ago, I think it was 2 years ago, I think, that I got that deck. And I remember I read that she was working on a tarot deck, and it was called Dreams of Gaia Tarot. So I thought, oh, I can't wait till that deck comes out, because I'm so in love with her artwork. Her artwork is just amazing. And I kind of put like a mental note for myself that I'm going to get that deck when it comes out. And then I kind of just forgot about it. And I was watching a lot of YouTube videos coming up about Dreams of Gaia. And then I actually kind of looked past them. I didn't look at any of them because I was like, I'm not interested in that deck. Because in my mind, what I was thinking of was another deck called the Gayan Tarot. And I have checked out that deck, and I'm not interested in the imagery of that deck really. So just not personally my favorite. So I thought that everybody was talking about the Gayan Tarot, but actually they were talking about this, the Dreams of Gaia. And so what happened was, one night I had a dream. I had a dream that I was looking at the images of the Dreams of Gaia Tarot, and in my dream I thought, wait a minute, that's the deck that I was waiting for since I heard about it by Ravynne Phelan. That's the artwork. It's not the other deck. And then, so the next day I woke up, I forgot all about that dream. And I kept seeing, again, YouTube recommendation videos of the Dreams of Gaia. So I thought, okay, let me just go online and check out the Dreams of Gaia, just to look at the images again, because maybe I will like them. Maybe I'll change my mind. And then I went online, and as soon as I searched the images, and the images popped up, I remembered my dream. And I was like, holy, isn't that interesting? I knew that in my mind, in my subconscious mind, I knew that this was it. But consciously, I don't know if this is making sense. Consciously, I was thinking of another deck. And I went, oh my gosh, I was like, okay, I gotta buy this deck. This is the deck that I've been waiting for a whole year. And I completely forgot about it because I forgot about the name. And then when I had that dream and I checked the images, it was like, okay, 2 and 2 together. This is amazing. So I'm just so excited. I haven't even looked at the cards. I haven't looked at the book. But I realized that I can't do an unboxing, unfortunately, because I need to spend intimate, private time with this deck. I feel like it really deserves that. And it's actually one thing I learned about myself recently is that I don't really love doing unboxing videos. I feel like I'm not being fair to the deck, personally, just because my first impression, it always changes. I tend to kind of change my mind a lot about how I feel about certain cards, and I feel like I'm kind of on a pressure to react, and it might not be the right or the proper reaction. And I also feel like the deck is telling me that I need to sit and, grab my tea, be intimate with the deck without anybody around, and just get to know the deck before I share my thoughts on it. So that was just something I wanted to share with you. And I'm going to end this video now. Thank you so much for watching. And as always, I'm sending you lots and lots of blessings, lots of love. Take care. See you in the next videos.